Hey there everyone, it's Alex here from VG247.com with a 5-fact review of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate for the Nintendo Switch, which of course is out in a day when I upload this video, but I've been playing it a little bit early and I wanted to give you, as I have with a couple of other games now, the 5 facts which I sort of learned while playing the game, which will give you an impression of how it's good and how it's bad and all that sort of stuff. So they're not actually facts, they're more like opinions, except our opinions are correct, and that's a fact, so that's the 5-fact review. So, first point, I just want to say, I think starting out with 8 characters is absolutely genius. If you don't know, Smash Ultimate has 76 characters at launch, and that's a huge cast for a fighting game, but you start out with just 8. The original 8 from the original Super Smash Bros. On the N64. So that's Mario, Donkey Kong, Link, Samus, Yoshi, Kirby, Fox, and Pikachu. So it sort of represents those the core of Nintendo, I would say. And you start out with just those 8. And in the story mode, actually, you only start with Kirby, even. So that's even a bit more limited still. But basically, I think this is a clever decision because it makes the game feel larger and feel more impressive in that it is a really big game anyway, and it is a really impressive game anyway. But because there's a constant stream of new characters showing up to be unlocked, it really feels that little bit bigger. And there's a lot of different ways to unlock characters as well. It's not strict, arbitrary requirements. You can unlock characters just by playing the game pretty casually, to be honest. And I think that's really cool. I'm sure it'll be frustrating to some who just want to jump into multiplayer and have all the options right from the get-go. But in general, I do think starting out with 8 characters really just gives the game... It makes the game feel like it's got a trajectory, a growth to when you're playing it. And I really like that decision. Point 2. This is the best single-player Smash offering they have ever done. I do miss some elements, like I will admit I do miss the sort of platforming adventure segments that were in Melee's adventure mode, but the flip side of that is, it has to be said, those sort of segments sort of got out of hand and became a bit silly and, if I think, unenjoyable when they did them to a grand extent in Brawl's Subspace Emissary story mode, so hey-ho. And I also miss unique special stages like Break the Targets and stuff like that. There is a special stage, but it's shared by the whole cast. But then again, do we expect them to make 76 special stages? I don't think that's really doable, to be honest, but I still think this is the best single player offering they've ever done. They've got classic mode, which is an arcade ladder style series of challenges, and there's a special stage and then there's a big boss, and the bosses vary this time. It's not always Master Hand or Giga Bowser or Crazy Hand. There's a number of bosses from throughout Nintendo history and some original ones that are sort of doled out on a character basis. Some characters have certain bosses, some characters have other bosses. Then there's Spirit Board, which lets you fight spirits in unique and cool scenarios where the rules of Smash are bent in really interesting ways, and I'm going to talk about spirits in a second. And then there's World of Light, which you would have seen advertised as the big story mode, and I think that's really enjoyable, and it's absolutely huge. It might actually be a bit too big for its own good, but we'll talk about that in a second, because the third point I want to make is there isn't as much story as that epic trailer for World of Light might have had you believe. In fact, there's not much story at all compared to Subspace Emissary, and it's it's closer to what they did with Melee and games like that. So it's really more about fan service through evoking a wider range of characters than they've ever done before. So what that means is you've got your 76 playable characters, but they then try to get other characters in the game. So Snake's in the game, for instance, but they have Otacon as a spirit, and you can fight that spirit, and that spirit has rule tweaks to make it feel like you're actually what it might feel like if you were fighting Otacon. So obviously he's involved with Metal Gears, he's involved with mechs, and he's a scientist, so he's represented in spirit form by Dr. Mario, with A-Rob the robot guarding him. And there's all sorts of ones like this, like, M. Bison from Street Fighter is represented by Ganondorf, because he sort of has that purple glowing magic that sort of looks like Psycho Power that Bison uses anyway. And then they sort of tweak the properties of his moves and tweak the properties of your encounter and play Bison's music. So it feels like, for a second, feels like Bison's in Smash. And I think that stuff is really cool. It's a really smart idea. So yeah, there's not as much story as you might think, but there's more characters here than ever before, and as an idea of it being a celebration of video games and a celebration of games on Nintendo systems, this feels way more appropriate. And there's some seriously brilliant little touches in the World of Light where I would rather have some of these touches and pieces of attention to detail where they evoke games. Man, the section of the game where they sort of give you a bit of Street Fighter 2 to play, for instance, but it within the confines of Smash, is really cool. And I would actually rather have that than the long, lengthy cutscenes and seeing characters interact in a story sense as they did in Brawl. So there's not as much actual story, quote unquote, in this game as the trailer might make you think, but there's lots to chew on. There's lots to really enjoy. Point 4 then. And here we go. This is sort of my opinions becoming clear. In terms of settings and modes, this is also probably the most accomplished Smash game they've ever made. So, best single player offering, most accomplished in terms of setting and mode. Because there's just so many options for multiplayer and for just normal Smash modes. And they've made some really interesting, concessions for people who want to play the game more seriously. Like, I think, even though all Final Smashes aren't made equal, the Super Meter, which makes it more like a Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat Super Meter that builds up over time and then you can unleash a Final Smash. I feel like that's a really, really cool idea, and I'd really like to see tournaments actually try to use that. And hazardless stages as well, so you can keep a stage but have it with and keep its layout but have it without the hazards, or you can have it in a Final Destination format or a Battlefield format. There's so many different options on top of everything that they've done before, and there's so many more training options too. It's really, really, really impressive. And then finally, I'm going to talk about the characters a little bit. So, if I'm honest, and this is probably one of my more negative points on the game, I don't think the newcomers are all that exciting in general. The Echo Fighters they added, like Dark Samus and Chrom, are fine, not particularly exciting. But even the new newcomers, if I'm honest, having played with them, Inkling, Ridley, Incineroar, they haven't really lit a fire in me. And Isabelle, I feel like she could have easily been an Echo if they'd wanted. Ken is an Echo, and there's not much to write home about there. I think King K. Rool and Simon are the two that stand out most to me, but they're still not that exciting, in my opinion. But then again, the problem is this game has a huge thing to live up to in that, the previous games, you can't beat that moment when you add Mega Man to your game, or Ryu, or Sonic. So yeah, I mean, it's I don't think the newcomers are exciting, but this is the flip side. Because they've done this thing of bringing back every character ever, the cast in general, the full roster, is mind-blowing. And I think that's the thing that's most exciting, and it's a great way to sort of wrap up this 5-fact review, is to say that this game is it's not only a great package anyway, but it's a really exciting foundation where I hope that we've obviously got a year of DLC announced already, where they're going to be doing a number of characters, stages, music and stuff like that. But this game is so brilliant. What I really want to see them do is support it over the course of a couple of years possibly, and do a couple of years of DLC and add more and more characters, because I think, what's here now is perfect. It lives up to its name. It is the ultimate Smash Brothers experience. So now all there is really to do is just expand stuff and just add more characters. I'd like to see them add more spirits, if they get more third-party stuff. If rumours are true and maybe they do end up doing a deal for Minecraft, maybe they speak to Microsoft and they have Banjo and Kazooie and people like that as spirits. That's the sort of stuff I'd really like to see, because this game is absolutely brilliant. And so I think they should just keep growing it now, because it's just so huge already and has so many options and so many modes. I don't see why you would stop that train now, because it's just so impressive. And even if the newcomers so far for this game haven't been that exciting, in my opinion, I really think the cast in general is a real impressive, incredible just list of video game names, and I want to see more names on that list. I want to see more crazy names, more unexpected names, more names from companies that aren't necessarily owned by Nintendo. And so I hope they really grow that over the years, because this is the thing. This is, hands down, It's the most, you know, replete, impressive Smash game ever. I think there'll be a lot of debate about systems. I think people are going to easily say this is better than Brawl, because Brawl wasn't that great, and they're easily going to say it's better than Smash for the Wii U and for the 3DS. The big question is if people do actually end up preferring it to Melee, but just in terms of the sheer scope of it, I think, you know, I think this has got Melee beat. But it's an incredible game. It's one of my favourite games of the year. That's my 5 facts for the 5 fact review. If you want to read a written review, hit up VG247.com. We've got an actual more traditional written review there if you prefer that. Check out the channel because there's a lot more Smash videos I've uploaded of cool Easter eggs and stuff like that. And yeah, don't forget to give us a like, give us a subscribe. That stuff really helps us out. So I'm sure you can guess, I highly recommend Super Smash Bros. Ultimate for the Nintendo Switch. And I'm basically going to go back and play it right now. So yeah, until next time everyone, see ya.